the echoes in Ravenwood. The town of Ravenwood was quiet, nestled deep in a valley surrounded by sprawling forests. It was the kind of place people passed through but never stayed. At the center of the town stood the old Aldridge estate, an imposing Gothic mansion abandoned for decades. Locals swore it was cursed, whispering of strange lights in its windows and eerie cries that pierced the still night. No one dared to enter except, of course, the Henderson siblings. Emma, the eldest, was the skeptic. She didn't believe in ghosts or curses and wanted to prove the town stories wrong. Her younger brother, Ben, was the opposite. Fascinated by the supernatural, he carried his tape recorder everywhere, hoping to capture evidence of the otherworldly. "It's just a house," Emma said as they approached the estate late one October evening. The moon hung low, casting the estate in an ethereal glow. "Just a house," Ben replied, clutching his recorder. "You've heard the stories. The Aldridge family all disappeared without a trace. And people say they still walk the halls." Emma rolled her eyes but said nothing. Together, they pushed open the creaking iron gates and stepped onto the overgrown path leading to the front door. The air grew colder as they neared the house, and a peculiar stillness enveloped them. The door, though massive and ornate, opened easily, as if inviting them in. Inside, the mansion smelled of damp wood and decay. Cobwebs hung from the chandelier in the foyer, and dust blanketed every surface. "Creepy," Ben whispered, turning on his recorder. "Perfect." Emma shone her flashlight around, illuminating faded wallpaper and tattered furniture. "Let's do this and get out." They started in the drawing room, its grand piano coated in dust. Ben placed his recorder on the piano bench and pressed record. "Is anyone here?" he called out, his voice echoing. For a moment there was silence. Then, faintly, the piano keys pressed themselves, playing a hauntingly familiar melody. Emma's flashlight trembled in her hand. That's not possible." Ben grinned, his fear mingling with excitement. "I told you." They both froze as the recorder crackled. A voice, distorted but unmistakably human, whispered, "Leave now." Instead of heeding the warning, they ventured deeper into the house. The long hallways twisted and turned in ways that didn't make sense, and the air seemed heavier with each step. They found themselves in a grand dining room. The table was set as if awaiting guests, though the plates were cracked and the silverware tarnished. Why would a house like this still have a set table? Emma wondered aloud. "Maybe they never left," Ben replied, his eyes darting around. He placed the recorder on the table. "If anyone's here, let us know." This time, the response was immediate. The candles on the table flickered to life, casting shadows that danced unnaturally on the walls. The recorder crackled again, and a voice, this time sharper, hissed, "You shouldn't be here." Emma grabbed Ben's arm. "That's enough. We're leaving." But as they turned to go, the doors slammed shut with a deafening bang, and the shadows on the walls began to stretch, forming figures that writhed and advanced toward them. Panicked, they ran back to the foyer, only to find the front door gone. In its place was a solid wall, the wood pulsating as if alive. "What is happening?" Emma shouted, her voice cracking. Ben clutched his recorder, frantically rewinding and playing back the latest audio. The whispers on the tape grew louder and clearer. Stay. This is a trap," Emma said. "We need to find another way out." They stumbled into the library, its shelves lined with ancient tomes that seemed to hum with energy. On the desk in the center of the room lay a journal. Emma opened it, the pages filled with frantic scrawls. "They watch. They wait. They hunger. The house is alive." Before she could process the words, the air in the room grew colder, and the lights dimmed. A low growl reverberated through the walls. Ben pointed to the far corner, his face pale. "Emma!" There, a figure emerged from the shadows, a woman in a tattered dress, her face obscured by a veil. Her movements were jerky, unnatural, as if she were being controlled by invisible strings. "Who are you?" Ben stammered, raising the recorder. The figure tilted her head, and the veil slipped back, revealing hollow eye sockets and a twisted grin. "You're home now," she rasped, her voice layered with a dozen others. The walls began to close in, the bookshelves groaning and bending as if trying to trap them. Emma grabbed Ben's hand, pulling him toward a spiral staircase in the corner of the library. They climbed as fast as they could, the woman's rasping laughter echoing behind them. The staircase led to the attic, a vast, dusty space filled with forgotten belongings. In the center of the room stood a massive mirror, its surface rippling like water. "Do you see that?" Emma asked, her voice trembling. Ben nodded. "It's glowing." The laughter grew louder, and the attic door slammed shut. The mirror's surface shimmered, revealing fleeting images of the Aldrich family faces twisted in agony, their hands pressed against the glass as if trying to escape. "I think this is our way out," Emma said, desperation in her voice. "What if it's a trap?" Ben asked. "Do we have a choice?" As the woman's figure materialized at the top of the stairs, they ran toward the mirror. Without hesitation, Emma grabbed Ben's arm and leapt through. For a moment, there was nothing but cold and darkness. Then they found themselves outside, standing in the overgrown yard. The mansion loomed behind them, silent and still. "We made it," Ben gasped, clutching his recorder. "We're alive." Emma didn't respond. She was staring at the mansion, her expression unreadable. "Emma?" Ben asked, shaking her shoulder. She turned to him, and his heart sank. Her eyes were black voids, her mouth twisting into a cruel smile. "You left me behind," she whispered, her voice no longer her own. And before Ben could scream, the mansion's gates swung shut with a final, resounding clang.